Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, November the 27th, 2017. Good to have you all here for our first of two shows this week here on this Tuesday night. Sorry about the late start. Obviously, last week we were only on the air once, and I didn't want to really start the show off so late, but things are happening. There's some weather issues, and it was kind of hard to get things going tonight, so my apologies for that. But here we are back on the air here on this Tuesday night here for two shows here as we approach the Christmas season, which obviously we'll have a different schedule during that period as well. So, but up until then, we will be with you for two shows a week. Right up until then, nobody's next couple weeks will be unveiling our plans for what's coming in the new year. And for the new stuff that's going to be coming to the show we've been talking about for the last couple months. So, but we'll get to that. We're not getting into that tonight. We'll get into that over the next couple weeks. So don't want to jump the gun here, but just want to let you all know what's coming up down over the next couple weeks here. So with that being said, let me, as always, start off the show by reminding you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show, have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember, use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And, of course, as always, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our fan page so you can interact with us and, know everything that's going on with the show and all that good stuff. All right. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving and a great holiday weekend here. And again, this was two shows this week. So tonight we'll do sports. We got a lot of football to get to. A lot of things happening in the NFL. A lot of things happening in college football. We'll get to the playoff rankings. Big shake up there. We'll talk a little bit about college basketball. Really the biggest headlines I think for college basketball will be coming this week, I'd imagine. Although there was a big shake up at the top of college basketball. We'll talk about that. And we'll do a little bit of MLB, just a few little quick hitting topics, and that'll be it. So that'll be all we do on the show tonight. So it won't be a long show, but we do have a lot to get to. And on Thursday, we'll do wrestling and entertainment. So entertainment, we got 2 weeks worth of box office stuff to get to. TV highlights will return. Wrestling, we got to talk about Raw and SmackDown and all the big things that are going on, WWE. We'll talk all about that on Thursday's show. So that's what's coming up on this week's shows. And then next week, we'll kind of follow the same pattern. And then we'll go from there. So as far as schedule goes. So, all right. So let's not waste time because it is late. And obviously, we don't want to be on there too late here. That's one of the disadvantages of starting the show so late. So we don't want to be on there too late. So we want to get going here. So let's start off as we, do usually in NFL. When we do sports, we talk about the NFL usually first, and that's what we're going to do. And, as I've said over the years, that once you get to week 12, you get to Thanksgiving, that's it. That's the home stretch now. If you've got to be in a position to make the playoffs. If you aren't, then, you already know. By that point, you probably already realize your season's over. Unless you're one of those teams that's kind of barely hanging on, then you might be deluding yourself. But thankfully, many of those teams are not in the mix the way things have played like that, because some teams have gotten some false hope by just the way things are having going. But I think even the NFC East, you can start to be realistic about which teams have chances and which don't. So, but yeah, week 12, Thanksgiving week, is traditionally about, okay, we're at that home stretch now. This is it. Time, the next 4 weeks here, you want to try to put, if you're a team that's been at the top, or for most of the season, you want to try to put things away, wrap up everything you want to wrap up. If you're a team that's in the playoff push, you want to try to clinch or put yourself in a good position. If you're not a team that's already in a good position, you want to get yourself in a good position. And that's really what this is about. It's about positioning, clinching, and salting everything away and putting yourself into the playoffs and putting yourself where you want to be in January. And that's really what it's about. And that's what these next few weeks are about. And this is what week 12 signifies, that transition into that part of the season. And for the teams that aren't in it, it's about just seeing what you have and building towards next year. And that's what it's, and playing for pride. And that's kind of what it comes down to. So when you look at week 12, you have 3 Thanksgiving games. It really weren't very good. The Cowboy-Redskin game was the only game that I thought on paper, was one that you kind of like want to look at because of the way the NFC East is playing out. And obviously going in, the Redskins lost a lot of momentum. They lost Alex Smith, and who knows if he's ever going to be back, which is a sad thing to say, but it's the truth. That's the truth in terms of what could happen. with him. We wish him the best and hope that's not the case and that he does make a comeback. But we also wish that he, gets healthy. More than anything else, that he heals up and gets healthy. But the Washington Dallas game was really the big game, because that's a game between with a lot of stakes. Can Washington continue to hold their lead, or will Dallas win and tie them at the top of the division? And that's what happened. Dallas did win that game. It was a huge shift, because now the Redskins are tied with the Cowboys, and with the quarterback situation being what it is, and really just the general momentum and the body language. Because you look at that team now, it's got to be devastating to lose your quarterback so late when when you've been that team this year that's been quietly kind of going about your business, and kind of, hey, you were 6-3 at one point, and then they went on a little bit of a skid even before the Alex Smith injury, and now Alex Smith gets hurt and is out for the year. It's just the momentum is going too far in the other direction, and you could see that in this game. I thought the Redskins played as valiantly as they could, but you could still see that they, what made them, and look, the Redskins weren't a great team this year. They were good enough in that division this year, and they won a lot of games they were supposed to win, and that's kind of what they did. But now they've come back down. They were already coming back down to earth. Then they lose Smith, and now it's kind of like, okay, they're gonna fight. But you could see it on their face that they don't have that same kind of feel to them that they had a few weeks back. And the Cowboys have played very well at home this year, and they took care of business, and they win the game 31-23 and joined the Redskins at the top of the NFC East. And again, that was the most significant game I thought of the day, and the game that had the best potential, because I figured the Bears were going to beat the Lions. The Lions kept it closer than they probably should have. They win that game 23-16 in the Bears. And really that's the Vikings are making it interesting, but the Bears have pretty much salted away a playoff spot in my mind. Unless they epically collapse and not win another game, they're going to the playoffs. So that's a huge game for them. And even though, I guess the Bears have a little bit of concern because Chase Daniel had to make the start for Mitchell Trubisky. But I think defensively they can get by too. So Bears did their thing, and then the nightcap game was the Saints and the Falcons, and we figured the Saints would dominate that game, and they did win the game 31-17, and they win their 10th straight. And the Falcons eliminated from the NFC South, and the Falcons are just this it hasn't been their year. It just has not been their year, and it might not be a year for another NFC South opponent, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So really, that Cowboy-Redskin game was the game of the day, and I figured it would be, and it was, and it was the most significant of the day because everything else held serve, and the Cowboys have made things interesting in the NFC East. And with the way the Redskins are playing, you have to think they're going to drop out. Or the Seahawks are making their push. Carolina's up there. The Eagles could always snap into play. I think the Redskins are pretty much done at this point. It's a shame because I really thought they were bound for it a couple weeks ago. But even with Alex Smith playing, it looked like they were on their way down. And it's sad what's happened to them. It really is. So that's the Thanksgiving games. Again, only one game really of significance, one game that really was interesting and compelling. You get to the Sunday games. I mean, look, the Bills doing what they've done. They went on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Jaguars 24-20. That has different significance. The Jaguars are already out of it. The Bills are already out of it, right? That had significance in that it caused the Jaguars to make some changes. They're not going to sit Blake Bortles for the rest of the season. They're changing some of their coaches. There was a lot of rumors about Doug Marrone. I figured they wouldn't get rid of Doug Marrone. Doug Marrone was 1 game away from the Super Bowl last year. You're not going to get rid of Doug Marrone, but you're going to make changes. And look, I get what they're saying, Jacksonville. I get it. After what happened last year, you owed it to yourself to kind of stay the course and stick with Blake. Now it's not going to work. Now you make significant change and try to make yourself better. And I get it. And, the Jalen Ramsey stuff didn't help either. Regardless, it's been a disastrous year for Jacksonville. And this was kind of like the nail in the coffin for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Bills making themselves look representative. And this is something the Bills have done over the years. They always tend to have a better second half, and that's kind of what's going on. So, they're making it look better than they should. So that was a devastating loss for the Jaguars that forced changes. And for the Bills, they're just pushing along, playing for pride. Speaking of playing for pride, the Browns, who started off the season pretty well, kind of went through a downturn, but they're playing for pride right now. And they put on a shellacking on the Bengals, 35-20. And now you use Andy Dalton, and that pretty much puts the end to the Bengals, I think. So they're out of the mix. And the Bengals, who look like, I won't say a shirt, they look like they're going to be very much in the mix, are now out of it. So a devastating loss for them. And the Browns just continuing to do the thing, get better, and build for next year. And they're in good shape. They've had a good enough season, I think. You know, you don't want to give up yet, but they've had a good enough season. They can somehow finish one game under 500 out of 500. I think that'd be a huge, huge season for them. So we'll see how they do. Baker Mayfield, another great game in that game against the Bengals. Patriots all over the Jets, 27-13. No surprise there. Jets hung tough early, but just don't have enough. We're not going to talk about Buccaneers 49ers. That game ain't worth nothing. Raiders, Ravens. Ravens took care of business 34-17 to keep pace with all the other teams in the playoff hunt. Lamar Jackson was great. He'll probably start again this week. So, you know, Ravens going to try to make a push with Lamar, and we'll see what happens. They're very much alive, obviously, in the AFC. In the NFC, going back there, the Eagles get a huge win in one of the most significant games of the weekend over the Giants, 25-22, because the Giants won this game, okay? The Giants would have been 4-7. The Eagles would have been 4-7. So they would have been tied. That's huge because here's the thing. With the way things are going, the Giants would have been still very much alive. And would have really, in my mind, controlled their own destiny. They would have probably had to win out, but still, they would have been very much alive. But them losing, they're done. At 3-8, they're done. Now they're just playing for pride. And look, Eli's been looking better over these last few weeks. Obviously, Barkley's been great all year. Odell's been great all year. But you're getting a lot more out of Eli than you thought. So maybe there's some things they can take in the next year. I still think they should draft a quarterback, but I don't know if there's any quarterbacks out there. So they might have to hold serve at Eli next year. But anyway, look, the Giants have had a valiant effort these last couple of weeks. I still wouldn't give up on your season. Keep playing, but their playoff chances pretty much went down the tubes against the Eagles, who really had a gut check because they were down in that game. And they made that late push, and that's a huge win for them to keep their playoff hopes. Obviously, their playoff hopes were less faint than the Giants going in anyway. Now they're very much alive, and we'll see what they can do here and see if they can build some momentum off this game. So a huge game for the Eagles and a huge game for the NFC playoff implications. So huge game that was. And speaking of NFC playoff implications, another huge game this weekend was the Seahawks and the Panthers. Seahawks with a big 30-27 win over the Panthers, who have just completely fallen off. Their first loss at home. The Seahawks very much in play here at 6-5. They win a tough road game, and you know they just did their thing. They just outlasted the other team. And look, I said it was a good matchup for them. Defensively they can match them, and they like to play that kind of style that Carolina likes to play, and they made it work. And now Carolina's skidding, and the Seahawks are on the upswing, and you have to like the Seahawks here. In the NFC, you will. They're known to do this kind of thing and wake up midway through the year, and all of a sudden, the second half of the season, they're tough to play. You know, everybody thought this was going to be their down year. Well, they've managed to turn things around and kind of rebuild a little bit on the fly, and they're very much alive here in this playoff race. And watch out for them. That was a significant one. So the Seahawks beating the Panthers and the Eagles beating the Giants, two huge games for NFC playoff implications, really changes the picture a little bit here and flips it on its ear. Chargers take care of business against the Cardinals. They're 8-3, so you figure they're all set. Devastating loss for the Steelers to the Broncos, 24-17. Broncos kind of hanging around. I don't think they're. You can't eliminate them, but I kind of think they're on the outside looking in. But for the Steelers, that's rough because what that just did was allow the Patriots back into the picture for home field. At least what? So the AFC Championship game. Because they took care of business, and with the Steelers losing, they lost that 2 spot. Now they need help in terms of the Patriots losing and them kind of winning their games to get it back. So very tough loss for them, the Steelers, in terms of that. Colts did their thing. Win a game that they had to win against the Dolphins, 27-24. Tough game. Dolphins played it close. Luck again late in the game, did the thing. He's been playing very, very well. The Indianapolis Colts have played very good ball over the last few weeks. They look good. Their defense has come up big late in games. Their offense has been doing their thing. So don't sleep on the Colts. And look, they play the teams that they have to overcome. They're playing, and they've already overcome enough teams. They're right there. They're tied for that 6th spot with the Ravens. So they're there. They just got to keep winning games. And if they do that, then I think the Colts are the team that's going to go. Because I think the Ravens are going to suffer some losses. I think the Colts. I think if they can somehow, in my mind, they have to go at least 3-1. I don't think 2-2 will do it. They go 3-1 over these last 4. I think they're in. Or these last. I shouldn't say that. I think if they go 4-1, I think they're definitely. I think they go 3-2. Maybe that won't be. I think they have to go to the rest of the season with 1 loss. I think that will secure it for them. I think that will secure it for them. Because you think about it, 10-6 probably gets them in. Probably does. I don't know if 9-7 does. I don't. Vikings pretty much killed the Packers' chance, even though Aaron Rodgers and company are going to hang on to hope. Vikings killed their chances, I think, 24-17. Vikings still very much alive. I think it's going to come down to the Vikings and the Seahawks for that last spot. I really do. I think it's going to come down to the Vikings and the Seahawks for that last spot. Well, actually, the Vikings can go. Yeah, I think they can both go. Because they're both in the play. Yeah. What am I thinking? Yeah, they both can go. So I think those are going to be your two in the NFC. I really do. I think those are going to be your two. I think it's going to be the Vikings and the Seahawks. I think it makes the most sense based on how they played and based on where the momentum is going. I think it could be Vikings and Seahawks. I think the Redskins drop out. I think that will be your two teams. And AFC, we'll see. Chargers will be one of them. We know that. It depends who gets that last spot. I would favor the Colts right now. They got to play a very hot Texans teams this week, but we'll see. And the last game, the Titans and the Texans. Speaking of Texans, the Texans win last night. 34-17, a dominant performance by Tennessee. Ever since that New England win is going the other way. They're kind of folding, and the Texans are flying high. Texans look very good right now. You have to be impressed. They played very well at home. And that's what the Colts are going to have to deal with this week. And to me, that's a big game for the Colts because that's the one I don't know if they can win. If they can somehow win that game, I think they're in good shape. So, and then here's the other thing. If the Colts beat the Texans, the Colts are 7-5, and the Texans are 8-4. So Colts will still be alive for the division, which is interesting. So that's a significant game for the Colts. So keep an eye on that one. So some big playoff implication shifts, a lot of big movement, some big games. Thanksgiving kind of lackluster, but a lot of But if you take Week 12 as a whole, lots of implications in terms of the playoffs. So both on the NFC and AFC side. So the stage has been set for the final part of the season. And it's gonna be interesting. I didn't think it was gonna be this interesting late, but it's gonna be interesting. Now that we kind of got the playoff picture, things are kind of tightened up a little bit. It's a little bit more compelling than I thought it was gonna be, which is what you want. It's what you want. So before we move on to Week 13 and previewing Week 13, let's take a look at how we did on our picks for Week 12, including the Thanksgiving game. Remember, we did a supersized edition of the NFL picks, which we always do on the Thanksgiving weekend of games. We usually pick the 3 Thanksgiving games, then we pick the usual 6 Sunday and Monday games that we usually pick. So let's see how we did for Week 12. I had Bears over Lions, which was a win for me. Cowboys over Redskins, which was another win for me. Saints over Falcons, so easy 3 for 3 for me on the Thanksgiving game. Easy games to pick, to be honest. Giants over Eagles was a loss for me. Panthers over Seahawks was a loss for me. So here we go. The Sunday games. Seahawks over Broncos a loss for me. Colts over Dolphins was a win. Vikings over Packers was a win. And Texans over Titans was a win. So I salvaged it. Went 3-3 on Sunday. So overall, for the week of Week 12 picks, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-3. So the Thanksgiving Day games gave me a little bit of a boost, which obviously needed. So, all right. So now we crossed over to Week 13 and look at what that is going to bring us. And again, now you're in the stretch run here. Things will be very interesting. And we start off with a very interesting Thursday night game, one that the Cowboys probably need to win. And since they're at home, they might want to win, but I don't think they're going to win it because this team is completely on fire. 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Fox and the NFL Network. The 10-1 Saints, who are 5-0 on the road, so being on the road has not hurt them this year. At the 6-5 Cowboys, who are 4-1 at home. Cowboys have played well on the road. Cowboys have played well at home. Saints have played well on the road. Something has to give here. Look, the Cowboys need this game far more than the Saints do. Although if the Saints want to keep pace with the Rams, they need this game. I just don't see the Cowboys having enough to beat the Saints. They have a good front five. You know, they've been playing good football. They're running the ball better. They're moving the ball better. I don't think they have enough. I just don't. I think the Saints are too good. I like the Saints. It's the first game I'm going to pick, and it's one of the easier picks of this weekend for me. Saints over Cowboys. Thursday Night Football. And I like to try to pick the primetime games if I can, the big games if I can. So unless they're not good, then I don't. But thankfully, the Thursday night games, some of the Monday night games even lately have been good. So, and the Thursday games have definitely been good this year. So, all right. So let's move on to the Sunday games now. First up, we have 1 o'clock from Eastern on CBS. The 6-5 Ravens, 2-3 on the road. The 4-7 Falcons, 3-3 at home. I will not be picking this game. To me, they're going to start Lamar Jackson. It looks like the Ravens. Atlanta's a favorite at home. I don't like Atlanta right now. I haven't liked the way they play. I think the Ravens have kind of turned a corner. I like the way they played Lamar Jackson last week. I still think he's going to have his hiccups, but I think against Atlanta, it's a good matchup for him. I like the Ravens to win this game on the road. I really do. I think the Ravens will win this one. They know they have to have it, and I think it's a good matchup for them. So I like the Ravens to win this game, but again, that's not a game I'm going to pick. So I wanted to throw that out there because sometimes I pick games I'm not going to log in as a pick. So, but I thought I should give my analysis on that game. It's not a bad game. 1 o'clock from Eastern game on CBS. The 5-6 Broncos, 2-3 on the road. At the 5-6 Bengals, 3-3 at home. Without Andy Dalton, I'm going with I'd go with the Broncos here. I would. So I'm not picking that game either, but I would go with the Broncos. I think the Bengals are just done for the year right now, the way things have gone. 1 o'clock from Eastern game on Fox. 10-1 Rams, 4-1 on the road. The 4-7 Lions, 3-3. Easy game to pick Rams. I'm not picking that game either. So 1 o'clock from Eastern game on Fox. 2-9 Cardinals, 1-4 on the road. The 4-6-1 Packers, 4-0-1 at home. Again, not picking that game, but I'd probably go Packers. They're even there, given the circumstances. Something they're better. They're far better than the Cardinals anyway. So 1 o'clock Eastern game on CBS. 4-7 Bills, 2-4 on the road. At the 5-6 Dolphins, 4-1 at home. Not picking this game either, but I would say the Dolphins would be the favorite, although the Bills playing better. Dolphins have to win, keep things alive. So I would figure the Dolphins here, but don't sweep on the Bills. They've been playing better ball. So, all right, here's the games I'm going to pick. Finally, people are like, what games are you going to pick, right? Well, here we are. We're going to start with this game. The 1 o'clock Eastern game on Fox. 8-3 Bears, 3-2 on the road. At the 3-8 Giants, 1-4 home. Giants, I think, are still going to play. I really think they're going to put their all into these games. I think they'll keep this game close. They've been playing better football. Unfortunately for the Giants, I think the Bears' defense is so good. I think they're going to really come up on Eli Manning. I think their offense, even with their bat with Chase Daniel last week, I think it is much better than it's been in years past. I like the Bears here, but I think this will be a very much closer game than people would think. So Bears over Giants, but keep an eye on that game because Giants could surprise you in that game. Let's see. Next up, 1 o'clock Eastern game on Fox. 6-5 Panthers, 1-4 on the road. The 4-7 Buccaneers, 3-2 at home. But Tampa has a tendency to knock off good teams in the division, even good teams outside the division. So this is a game you want to keep an eye on. You definitely do. That's why I'm picking it, because I think this is the game that you could really see a surprise. And I'm actually going to pick this as a surprise because I like to pick at least one upset that nobody sees coming if I can. And this is one I think is ripe. And the Buccaneers have done this every year. They really have. And the Panthers come in with very much, they're on a losing streak. You'd like to think that they do, but I just don't like their body language. Don't like the way they're playing. Tampa is not a slouch at all. Carolina's only favored by 3.5. So I like the matchup here for Tampa. I think the way Panthers are playing, I think it'll be close, but I like the Buccaneers to beat the Panthers in my little shocking upset pick of the week. So Buccaneers over Panthers. 1 o'clock Eastern game on CBS. 6-5 Colts, 2-3 on the road. At the 3-8 Jaguars, 2-4 at home. Game the Colts have to have. Jaguars, I'd assume, would play for pride. Jaguars have always given the Colts a hard time. I like the Colts here, but this will be a close, ugly game. That's the way the Jaguars play, and that's the way they've always played the Colts. I'm not picking this game, but I'd favor the Colts, but I expect this game to be closer than it probably should be. 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern game on CBS. 4-6-1 Browns, 1-4 on the road. 8-3 Texans, 4-1 home. Texans should win that, but the Browns, they'll play hard. That's for sure. They will play hard. So, but I think the Texans will win it. Again, that's another game I'm not going to pick. I know I keep kind of giving you picks for games that I'm not picking officially, but I figure if I'm going to mention these games, I might as well throw out who I favor. So, that's your 1 o'clock window games. 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern game on CBS. 3-8 Jets, 1-4 on the road. The 5-6 Titans, 3-1 at home. I favor the Titans. Jets is completely off. They just look like they're done for the year, to be honest. But I favor the Titans, but the Titans haven't been playing well, so who knows? Not picking that game either. And next game I'm not picking as well. 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern on CBS. 8-2 Chiefs, 4-2 on the road. The 2-9 Raiders, 1-4 at home. Chiefs coming off a loss. Obviously, they have to get this game to kind of get back on track, and they probably will get this game. Raiders have been terrible, so Chiefs will win. Again, not picking the game, but that one's easy to pick even if I was. All right, now the rest, outside of one more game, the rest of the games I'm going to pick. 4:25 p.m. Eastern game on Fox. The 6-4-1 Vikings, 2-2-1 on the road at the 8-3 Patriots, who are 5-0 at home. Tough game to call for me because on paper, I think you got to go with the Vikings here. They have the better defense. I think talent-wise, they have the better offense. Obviously Brady's better than Cousins, but I think the Vikings have a little bit more diversity on offense. Having said that, Cousins has not played well in big games. He just hasn't. I don't trust him in big games. He tends to force things. Obviously, Brady's the best big game player of this generation. I'm going with the Patriots in December are so tough. It's like it's closing time, and that's something that they just own. They own December. They own closing the season. So I'm going with the Patriots over the Vikings in what should be a very interesting game to watch. All right, next game I am not picking. 4:25 p.m. Eastern on Fox. 2-9 49ers, 0-6 on the road. The 6-5 Seahawks, 2-2 home. Seahawks will win. They should win. They need to win to keep things going. No question, no doubt about that. So Seahawks in that game. Again, picking that game officially with my picks, but that one's an easy one to favor. Have a favorite in. Now, the last two picks I'm going to make. 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. 8-3 Chargers, 4-1 on the road at the 7-3-1 Steelers, 3-2 Chargers get a good test here. This is their chance to kind of make a statement to the world, because they've kind of been just like the Redskins were for a while. They've quietly gone about their business and put together an 8-3 record. And they're a team that every year we go in and go, oh yeah, they could be in the mix. They could be in the mix. They've been a tease. This year they're firmly in it, and they're probably going to the playoffs, but nobody buys them. This is despite Philip Rivers having 25 consecutive passes last week. This is a chance for them to get people to buy into them. They get to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football. Huge game for them. Huge game for them. And here's the other thing, too. Let's say the Chargers win this game and the Chiefs lose another game. They keep pace with the Chiefs here because Chiefs only got one more less loss than they do. So their chance for a division is still in there, too. So Chargers have to keep winning. So this is a chance for them to make a big statement here. Steelers are coming off a miserable loss to the Broncos. Whenever they come off a loss like that, they usually come back strong. I'm thinking they will here, but I do not think they're going to just go into this and destroy the Chargers. I really don't. I think now, having said that, I think the Steelers are the better team, and that's why I'm picking them, especially since they're at home and coming off a loss. But this is a chance for the Chargers to kind of show something. We'll see if they do. I think they will show enough to at least keep the game close. So I'm going with Steelers over Chargers, but Chargers will have a lot to prove, and I think they will keep this game close. And then finally, the Monday night game. So we will have picked all the big primetime games for this week. 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The 6-5 Redskins, 3-2 on the road at the 5-6 Eagles, 3-3 home. It's a big game for the Eagles because they win this game. They tie the Redskins for that last spot, at least as of right now. Of course, the Seahawks will have something to say about that because if they win, then they'd have a better record still. But the Eagles would be very much in the mix. So to keep pace, they have to win. Redskins have to win to kind of keep themselves in line because if the Redskins win, they'd be right out in front still of the Seattle Seahawks. So a big game for both teams. But as I mentioned earlier, the Redskins were trending in the wrong direction before Alex Smith got hurt, and they're definitely trending in the wrong direction now. They have not played well on the road. The Eagles get a big momentum boost from that Giant game last week. I'd like to think they're going to carry it in here. The Eagles were a better team anyway. Are a better team anyway. I like the Eagles here in what should be an ugly game because the defense of the Redskins will probably keep it lower scoring, and the deficiencies the Eagles have on offense will probably keep it lower scoring too. But I think the Eagles will have enough here, and with the problems the Redskins have at the quarterback position and just the general trajectory of play that they've had over the last few weeks, I like the Eagles over the Redskins on Monday Night Football, and Eagles playing at home too is a benefit to them. So Eagles over Redskins. So here's your picks for Week 13. I know that was confusing. I kept throwing out picks for games I wasn't officially picking. I was just trying to give you favorites in all the games if I could. I like to do that, even though they're not even for games I don't pick. I like to give you at least a favorite. So, all right, Week 13 picks for the NFL: Saints over Cowboys, Bears over Giants, Bucks over Panthers, Pats over Vikings, Steelers over Chargers, and Eagles over Redskins. Those are your picks for Week 13 of the NFL season. Obviously, we'll look back at those and discuss Week 13 in detail, and of course, look ahead to Week 14 of the NFL season next week here as we head down the stretch run of the NFL season. From the NFL, we go to college football, which had a huge, huge week. And we said that things have been rather quiet. I think there's only been 1 week this entire season where things kind of went crazy. We haven't had a lot of craziness. Well, we finally had it this past week, where at least there was some shakeups in terms of teams that could potentially be going to the playoffs. First of all, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. Obviously, the biggest shakeup was the Ohio State-Michigan game. And it wasn't so much that Ohio State beat Michigan, because we all knew that had potential to happen. But it's the way that they beat it. They beat Michigan so bad that you doubted whether Michigan was even remotely good enough to be in the top 10. They destroyed Michigan. And look, I like Jim Harbaugh. I really do. But he went into this year being on the hot just because he can't beat Ohio State. And now you have to wonder if maybe they make a change there just because he can't beat Ohio. Now he cannot beat Ohio State, but he laid an egg. His team laid an egg in that game. And that probably did cost them the playoffs. Because they win that game, they're in. They're in. That's a devastating loss. And to lose like that is an embarrassment. So we'll have to see what the implications are of that. But the repercussions for Ohio State are they get right back in the mix, and they're going to force debate here. If things stay the same, whether they should be in or Oklahoma or Georgia, they're going to force the debate. That's how big of a win that was, because they not only beat Michigan, they destroyed them. That was the so-called best defense in college football. They beat them bad. So that was the biggest shakeup. There were other shakeups. Washington beating Washington State, which knocks them down. Oklahoma held against West Virginia, which is huge for them. UCF held serve. Now, of course, they've lost their quarterback. That's a terrible situation. We wish them well. Hopefully, Mackenzie Milton will get back and be healthy, and we could make a full recovery. And for UCF, you feel really, really horrible because of that. That's a horrible injury, and hopefully makes a full recovery. And UCF, you feel really bad because they're going to be on the outside looking in again. Even if they had Mackenzie Milton, they would be on the outside looking in. It's not fair. It really isn't. UCF should get a lot more consideration than they do. They've had 2 great years. They really have. They really, really have. Alabama took care of business, so they're far and away going to go. Clemson did the same thing. Notre Dame did the same thing. So did Georgia. LSU loses to A&M, so that takes them out of the mix. So basically, this is what, in the aftermath of all this, because there's, again, obviously shakeups. LSU loses. Washington State loses. Michigan loses. Okay? When all of that's said and done, when you look at the playoff rankings, this is what you're left with. Alabama, who you know is going to go. Even if they were to lose this week, they're gone. They're going. You got Clemson. You got Notre Dame. Those 3 are probably locked in. Unless Clemson loses. Clemson could be knocked out. Alabama and Notre Dame can't be. They're in. So 2 spots are locked up. Clemson locks up a third with a win. So what does that mean about that final spot? Do you give it to Georgia, who has it now? Do you give it to Oklahoma or Ohio State? Those are your 3 choices right now. Or do you go outside the box and give it to UCF, who should get more consideration than they are? You don't give it to Michigan. Even if things open up for them, you don't give it to Michigan. That loss is enough to take them out of the running, in my opinion. You don't give it to Michigan, and you don't give it to anybody below Michigan unless you give it to UCF. The only teams in contention for that last spot are Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and UCF. Nobody else should be in contention. Nobody else. They don't have the profile. They don't deserve it. If you had to ask me right now who I think should go right now, I think it'd be either Oklahoma or UCF. I don't know if I buy into Georgia for that spot. I don't buy into Ohio State, even though they put a shellacking on Michigan last week. UCF, I know they don't have the strength of schedule, but I would give them a chance. It's because of the story of it. Because that's what you have to do. You have to almost think of that like in college basketball. You sometimes put teams in even though they have the huge profile, but you do that because you think they're good enough to beat teams that are in the field and because you like the story of it. So, and I know that with their quarterback out, that they might not be seen as good, but I think they're good enough to still consider them. And Oklahoma has the profile, and they've done enough. So to me, it would be either Oklahoma or UCF for that last spot. That would be my opinion. Now, if Clemson were to lose, then what do? I probably still take Clemson. I just move Notre Dame up to 2. Put either Oklahoma, UCF in at 3 or 4, and then still take Clemson. That's what I would probably do. I still probably take Clemson even if I lost. So, but yeah, that's as simple as it comes with the playoff rankings. Everybody else is out, I think. So that's I'm just being realistic with that. So that's the story in the playoff rankings. Obviously, some shakeups there, and now you know what you're looking at here as you go into championship weekend. So obviously, not everybody plays. That's why Notre Dame is set in their spot. So this is what you got for championship weekend here, starting on Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. Number 17 Utah versus number 11 Washington. Neither one of those teams will factor into the playoffs, but they'll factor into the bowl conversation. So that's still an important game as the Pac-12 championship game. So if you're interested, you got obviously check that out. Noon Eastern on Saturday on ABC. The number 14 Texas at number 5 Oklahoma. The Big 12 championship game. Obviously, Oklahoma has to win that. If they lose, they're out. If they lose, then I think you should take UCF. I really do. I really, really do. But what will probably happen? Ohio State will probably leapfrog and knock Georgia out. That's what will probably happen. I don't think Georgia's going to end up in. I think Georgia's going to get taken out. I really do. Obviously, Georgia will probably lose to Alabama, so I'll make the conversation easy anyway. Because that is your 4 o'clock Eastern game on CBS. Your SEC championship game is number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Georgia. Alabama's going to win, and that's going to take care of Georgia. So if Oklahoma wins, Oklahoma gets the spot. If Oklahoma loses, we know Georgia's probably going to lose. So yeah, they'll give it to Ohio State. They'll give it to Ohio State. Now, what happens to Ohio State, who plays Northwestern at 8 o'clock Eastern game, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Fox on Saturday night in the Big Ten championship game? 8-4, number 21 Northwestern against number 6 Ohio State, who's 11-1. Now, look, if Ohio State loses, let's say Ohio State loses and Georgia loses and Oklahoma loses, who gets the spot? Do you give it to Michigan who just got blown out, or do you give it to UCF? Would they give it to Michigan? That would be total chaos. And that would be huge. Because how would you give it to Michigan over UCF? How would you do it when they just laid an egg? How would you do it? I don't know how you would. Really don't. Outside of those games I just mentioned, noon Eastern, you have Drake playing number 23 Iowa State. That's not a game of huge significance. So you got the American Championship game, which is Memphis against UCF. Obviously, UCF has to win that just to stay in the conversation. If they lose it, then there's no argument. So that's obviously an important game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. You have the Mountain West Championship game between Fresno State and Boise State at 7:45 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. So if Boise State always fun to watch, that might be an interesting game to watch. And you got the ACC Championship game at 8 Eastern on ABC. Number 2 Clemson against at Pittsburgh. Obviously, Clemson want to win that game just to not give themselves any vulnerability. I think they will win that game, but still, you don't want to lose it because you never know how that might impact things. So every team that's in that top 6 is playing on Saturday. Pardon me, not every team. 5 out of the 6 teams that are in that top 6 are playing on Saturday. 7 out of that top 8 is playing on Saturday. So there's potential for chaos, or there's potential for everything to hold serve. What do I think is going to happen? Alabama will win. I think Clemson will win. Obviously, Notre Dame's already fine. I think Oklahoma will win. I think Ohio State will probably win. I think UCF will probably win. So I think everything will hold serve. And if that happens, I think Georgia, who would be playing Alabama, will be knocked out. Oklahoma gets the last spot. And away you go. That's your 4. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. A lot of blue bloods in there, but that's what it will be. If we get total chaos, then that'll be a blast, man. If it comes down to something like Michigan or UCF for that 4th spot, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. That would be great. That'd be great theater to see what they pick, who they pick. Could that happen? Sure. There's real potential. I mean, Georgia, we already know is probably going to lose. There's real potential for Oklahoma to lose. There's real potential for Iowa State to lose. How is there potential for Clemson to lose? So things could get crazy. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. So it should be an interesting weekend of college football here, and the stage will be set. Once we get out of this weekend, we will know. We will know what we're looking at for the college football playoffs and for the bowls. And next week they'll have the bowl selection show, and then throughout December we'll make some bowl picks and playoff picks, and that'll be the end of the college football season. But things have definitely got interesting over the last week, which college football has been very interesting since probably the middle of October, so they needed that. So we go into championship weekend with some interest. And that's what you want. You want, again, storylines, compelling narratives, and that's what you're going to get. You're getting that in the late season for the NFL, and you're getting that in the late season for college football, and that's what you want. So that's good. Makes for good sports watching. All right, so done enough of football. Let's get to college basketball and the week that was in college basketball, because obviously around Thanksgiving time you have a lot of tournaments, holiday tournaments, and you get a chance to kind of see these teams playing. This week we got the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and next week we will have our college basketball preview. I said I always like to wait till the holiday tournaments play out and the ACC Big Ten Challenge plays out. Once that's over, we can start to look at these. That's when I like to do the preview, because then we can kind of look at these teams and where they are and who they played and all that kind of stuff. So let's before we talk about what's happened tonight, because there's been some big significant games tonight. Let's talk about the week that was, and it was a big week because Duke lost. That was the big highlight. Was Duke lost to Gonzaga in one of the better early season college basketball games you're going to see. And realistically, look, we talked a lot about Gonzaga in the last few years, and how they're not always battle tested, and how sometimes they don't prove anything to you. They don't play a good schedule, obviously, when they're outside their conference all the time, and they don't get challenged in their conference. Well, they got challenged, and they already got a top quality win as they win the Maui Invitational and beat Duke to do it. And now you have to buy Gonzaga here to beat that Duke team. That's I didn't think that Duke team was going to lose to probably late January. That's huge for Gonzaga. So they're for real. This is one of the few years I can buy into Gonzaga. They're for real. And before that, Duke had done a very good job. They knocked off Auburn, who I really like what I saw in that game. Gonzaga had knocked off Arizona, who played pretty well. So you had those wins even before you got to the Duke Gonzaga game, which again was a huge, huge game. With Gonzaga winning 89-87. So big, obviously a big win for Gonzaga, and the highlight of the week, really. Creighton got a nice big win against Clemson in the Cayman Islands Classic. That'll help them. They're at that point, they made them 5-1. So that was another kind of interesting under the radar type big win, I thought, because it gets Creighton a good win there. Texas beat North Carolina on Thanksgiving Day, 92-89, a very good game. A landmark win for Texas, who is kind of under the radar. That was in the Las Vegas Invitational, by the way. Texas kind of under the radar right now. Keep an eye on them because they look like they're about to make a push here under Shaka Smart. And Michigan State beat a very good UCLA team. I don't think they're getting enough credit. They've looked pretty good early. Michigan State beats them by 20, so that was Michigan State's probably best effort of the year in that game. So, and yeah, Kansas knock off Tennessee in another great game, overtime game, in the NIT season tip-off on Friday night, 87-81. And that same night, Virginia beat Wisconsin in an ugly 53-46 game. But that's typical of Virginia and Wisconsin, right? North Carolina knocked off UCLA 94-78. So UCLA took it on a chin last week. And Michigan State beats Texas, and that ends up being a quality win given how Texas had played. And then Florida State knocked off LSU, who really nobody's been talking enough about, 79-76. So it's a tough loss for LSU here, who had been swinging along, nobody giving them a lot of attention, even though a lot of people think they're going to have a good year. So those were the big wins of significance there. Villanova gets a big win on Sunday over Florida State, 66-60. They needed that given how they started their season. And Oklahoma State knocked off LSU. So LSU kind of took it on the chin last week too. I'm kind of hurrying along here only because I'm going to make a point here at the end of this. Texas Southern knocked off Oregon in a big upset on Monday, 89-84. So not good for Oregon. And then tonight, Duke beats Indiana 90-6. Now, which is really a mismatch. I've seen a lot of people behind Indiana. I am not. But the big game of the night was Louisville knocking off Michigan State in overtime, 82-78 for Chris Mack and Louisville, a signature win that they needed. Louisville still unbeaten in November. So big win for them. I mean, unbeaten in November at home, I should say. So big win for them. And Michigan State, tough luck loss, really. And Penn State pulled off a shocking upset, 63-62 over Virginia Tech tonight. So huge shocking upset for them tonight. So really the big stories from this past week are obviously the couple upsets we've had: the Texas Southern over Oregon, Louisville beating Michigan State, Penn State beating Virginia Tech, Gonzaga beating Duke. Those are among but Duke losing to Gonzaga was probably the biggest upset of the week. So he had a couple of big upsets, some very impressive performances. I would say Texas and what they've done this past week has been impressive. Maybe the one off the top of my head. Villanova had a nice comeback beating Florida State, I think. So those would be a couple of the more positive highlights from this past week. And over this next week, you got potential for some other big notable games here. Syracuse Ohio State tomorrow is a big game for Syracuse to kind of get back in the swing of things here, to get against a ranked team on the road after suffering 2 losses a couple weeks ago, tough losses against big opponents. Virginia Maryland tomorrow is a very good game worth checking out. Purdue Florida State and North Carolina Michigan. Some very good games tomorrow in terms of the ACC Big Ten Challenge you want to check out. Definitely some big games there. Let's see what else. Let's see. Any other games? No. Gonzaga Creighton on Saturday is an interesting game. Kansas State Marquette. Purdue Michigan. Remember, some Big Ten. You're gonna get some Big Ten games early here as they start their conference season a little earlier. Oregon Houston might be interesting on Saturday. That one might be an under the radar type good game. Iowa Michigan State on Monday would be good. And then next Tuesday, let's see, Michigan Northwestern might not be bad. So some good games as the Big Ten gets underway. Some good games in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. So some good games over the next week. And again, we'll do a college basketball preview next week and go into more detail about some of these teams and make some predictions and all that fun stuff. And again, I'm not trying to rush, but we're also closing in at midnight. I don't want to be on too long. Just trying to give you a general overview of what's coming up and what's happened. But yeah, some teams will get tested this week, and it's a chance for some teams to step up. And last year, some teams did step up. Gonzaga, most notably, but also I think Villanova did. I also think Texas did. So some big a couple big developments. Not a lot. Some very good games. I think there's been quite a few good games already early this year. And some tough losses too for some teams, but it is early, and I think you'll see some good potential games over the next week, and some more teams get tested and challenged, and maybe see some more teams step up over this next week, and I think that's what you want to see early in the season is teams challenge themselves, step up, and grow and evolve, and that's what you want to see, and that's what I think all the coaches would want to see from their teams early on. So it should be an interesting week in college basketball over the next week here. And then next week, we'll get into some detail on the season and make predictions and all that good stuff. All right, so we quickly went over basketball. I said we'd try to be quick, and we were. Last week, we're going to jump to some baseball. And a couple quick hitters here. The Braves made some waves yesterday by signing Josh Donaldson to a one-year, $23 million deal, and also signing Brian McCann to a one-year, $2 million deal. Brian McCann going back to Atlanta where he started. Good moves, for a young team. Get some veterans in there, get some reliability in there. Know what you're going to get. Obviously, Donaldson's kind of an injury-prone player, but if you can get him healthy, he can help you. And obviously, Brian McCann's a great clubhouse guy, a great catcher. He'll help the pitching staff. So I think two good signings for the Braves. Two good signings for the Braves. Another big story over the last week was the Mariners, I should say, talking trade with the Yankees and Mets about Robinson Cano. That was a big story over the last week, and we'll see. It looks like the Mets have more interest in the Yankees. The Yankees were willing to trade Ellsbury for him, but they wanted the Mariners to take more of the money. The Mariners did not, so they moved on. We'll see if they revisit that. The Yankees get Cano, they're out of Machado. There's no way they take both. So I like the Cano thing only because I think the Yankees need more left-handed bats, but Cano's also a 36-year-old player. But the Mets, looking to make some kind of splash and maybe unload a contract or two, and Cano would help them. He'd be under contract for 5 years, and we'll see. It said that where the Mets are at with the discussions with the Mariners right now is basically where there's smoke, but there's no fire yet. That's basically where they're at. We'll see if it proceeds any further. The winter meetings are coming up. I imagine stuff like a lot of things will start taking place then, even though we've already had some action already this offseason. But I imagine some of the big stuff will go on there, which it always does, or usually right after. Because as we've said over the last few years, winter meetings sometimes have been too quiet. It's usually after the winter meetings. Things get started at the winter meetings, and after the winter meetings, things pick up. So we'll see if that's the case this year as well. But I think these next 2 weeks, you'll see a lot more big moves going down. So another big story has been the MLB striking their first gaming partnership at MGM. That's huge in terms of those that are, waiting for gambling to become a thing, at least in baseball. It's a huge step forward, and we'll see what impact that has in terms of what kind of ways they choose to go about it. I mean, that's a first step in implementing, I imagine, gambling. We'll see how it works. But that's a huge first step, I think. Huge first step. And it's a huge sign of things to come. And you even heard the commissioner go on about how the slow pace of play is actually going to help with gambling because you have more time to bet on at bats and stuff like that. So maybe that's the one way they're going to try to work around the pace of play thing is to kind of say, hey, it helps with gambling. Maybe that's one of the ways they're going to work with it. There's something else I wanted to mention, but I forgot what it was. I don't know what it was. Well, I'm blanking on it. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was. Wow. Oh, the Giants have apparently reportedly made Madison Bumgarner available. So obviously that's going to start a pretty big bidding war. And well, there's a lot of aces on the market this year. Corey Kluber and Zach Greinke's out there, and the Yankees already obviously traded for Paxton. Why is this happening? I don't know. And the fact that maybe teams figure you can't pay them, they want to keep their payroll in check, so you trade them, get some prospects back, and you develop your next ace. Look, the Giants have stuck with Bumgarner much longer than I thought. I thought he'd be moved in the trade season last year. The Giants were obviously rebuilding, but remember, they kind of stayed close enough where they probably thought maybe they could make a run. They've done it before. Bumgarner is not what he used to be. He's still a very effective pitcher. I don't think of him as an ace, though. To me, he's at most number 2. He's had the motorcycle accident. He's not the same player. He's not the same player. He can still help you, but to me, they're going to ask for the kind of package that you give for an ace. But to me, he's not an ace anymore. That's just my opinion. So there will be suitors. It will be a bidding war. But I just don't think he's that impact player he was 3-4 years ago, where you couldn't touch him in the playoffs. And he was one of those rare NL players, pitchers, that I thought could dominate just as well in the AL as he did in the NL. I'm not saying that an NL pitcher can't go to the AL and dominate, but they don't dominate on the same level. Bumgarner, I think, could have at his peak. I really do. I think he could have. Not anymore, though. Not anymore. So that's some of the. I just want to quickly go over a couple of MLB topics, some of the more interesting ones over the last week. So obviously, like I said, with the winter meetings coming up, I think things will pick up. And usually coming out of the winter meetings, they definitely pick up. And then they'll quiet off, level off, and then get quiet around Christmas. And then, you might hear a deal here or there. And then, spring training hits. And then all of a sudden you're back into the season again. Goes by quick. It really does. All right, so I kind of rushed through the last two subject matter, but that's because, again, with us starting late, I didn't want to be on the air too late. It's midnight. I know people have to work and such, so I try to be courteous about that. And plus, why go try to fill more time when it's already late? So we don't need filler right now. We don't need filler. So I just wanted to touch on a few things in college basketball and baseball, and then move on. That's what we did. So. We got through everything that was on the agenda tonight. With that being said, that is it for tonight. As always, the show might be over. It's not mean you have to stop interacting, contributing to our show, continue to have your voice heard. Send us your questions about the show, scheduling the show, topic ideas, or breaking news on sports, entertainment, or wrestling you want us to cover. Questions about the show, scheduling the show, reactions, comments, opinions about the show and things we talked about. Any of these things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember, use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet about our show. And find us on Facebook by searching for us under our show title, In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. And then make sure that you like our fan page so you can interact with us, find out all the ways on scheduling and any other updates about the show and anything else that we post, you can have access to if you follow us on there. So make sure that you do. So again, follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at itspotlight411. Remember, use the hashtag itspotlight411 when you tweet us or when you tweet anything at us, so that we can, it promotes the show and we also keep track of it and know that you tweeted us, so we can, easily respond if need be. Again, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our fan page so you can interact with us and all that good stuff. All right? All right. 2 ways to keep up the show and look back at class episodes. You can stream us anytime on YouTube. I can't say Google Plus because it's not there anymore. You can stream us anytime on YouTube. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on YouTube. When you do, you'll have access to every episode we've ever produced since we joined Google Plus and YouTube way back in mid-October 2015. So every episode from there, mid-October 2015, all up to tonight's current episode, available for you to stream anytime you want on YouTube. To search for In the Spotlight 411. Don't have to worry about Google Plus anymore. It's not there anymore, but I just have to say it at some points just to kind of explain myself. So, all right. So if streaming's not your thing, maybe prefer to listen to shows, maybe for to listen to shows rather than watch us, maybe interested in older episodes of the show. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, to search for In the Spotlight 411. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show page on both sites where you have access to every episode we've ever done in the 8 years we've been doing the show. So every episode from our original Blog Talk Radio run from October 2010, January 20, all of our episodes from our Talk Show run from January 2011, all the way up to mid-October 2015, and all of our episodes from our Google Plus and YouTube run from mid-October 2015, all the way up to tonight's current episode. All those episodes transferred into audio format for your convenience. Every episode we've ever done in audio format for your convenience. All listed in order from the most recent episode, that will be tonight's, all the way to the oldest, way back in October of 2010. Those episodes are available for you to listen to anytime you want, whether you want to listen to on the go, maybe you missed a part of an episode, want to check out an episode again, maybe you missed an episode in general, maybe you're a longtime fan, wants to dig up an episode from 3, 4, 5 years ago, or a new fan wants to check out an episode like that for the first time. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. The search for In the Spotlight 411, and the search for In the Spotlight 411. Shout out to my co-host Mike. He started a new job last week. We're working on figuring out what we're going to do with the schedule and see if we can get him back into the show here regularly. I don't know if he'll be on every show, but we'll see what we can do. So we're a work in progress. Hopefully we'll have an answer for you these next couple of weeks so we can get into some new stuff. But shout out to him. Hope everything's going well for him, and we wish him well in his new job, and hope everything's going well for him. And as always, I want to thank myself for our great show, Parents of My Back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. To those that'll be watching and listening to this later, thank you to you as well. Again, I'm sorry if I kind of rushed at the end there, but again, it gets late. You kind of feel like you should because you don't want to keep people up too late, and there's really no need to, waste more time or anything like that. So, yeah, I just worry about how people think. It's the way I am. Try to be pleasing to people. I try. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Our next show will be this Thursday, November the 29th, broadcasting and streaming live here on YouTube at 10 o'clock from Houston time. Hopefully we'll be on time. If not, bear with us as always. You're all very patient. Maybe too patient sometimes, but you are. That is our next show. On that show, we will have, obviously we'll have 2 weeks worth of box office numbers to go over in the box office beat. We'll do TV highlights, any other entertainment news we have to talk about. We'll have wrestling, Raw, SmackDown, WWE headlines, any other wrestling stuff we have to cover. All that will be on Thursday's program. So until Thursday, and I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great Thursday. We'll see you back here Thursday night at 10 o'clock from Eastern Time, broadcasting here on YouTube live. Until then, have a good night, everybody. See you Thursday.